Right here we have my buddy, he's Foxbody, my buddy Gio, and I'll tag his Instagram right now too. And then we have the Subaru, the Bugeye Subaru. And we're gonna go ahead and be comparing both of these cars, guys, because we're honestly trying to do a muscle car versus JDM car type comparison. But honestly, it's not even like a versus, it's more like just a little friendly comparison, you know, since we both have different platforms and they're both really good cars to drive, honestly. But it's just, I think that both cars have their pros and their cons to it, you know. And of course, muscle car people, or people that are into muscle cars, I should say, they have their preference of liking the V8s, you know. And so it's a little bit different to owning a 4-cylinder, because obviously it's like half the displacement of an 8-cylinder motor. And obviously there's drawbacks and there's pros to owning each and both platforms, you know. So we kind of just wanted to take today to dedicate a video to comparing both cars and showing you guys the little benefits and the downsides to both platforms. And I think that this would be a very interesting video for anybody that's debating whether they should get into JDM or whether they should be getting into muscle cars, depending on what meets your needs as best as a car enthusiast, you know. Yeah. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started on the Mustang first and foremost. Right, guys, so one of the pros I would say for the Mustang is honestly that my friend was telling me that it has a V8, so obviously like he really likes the sound of the V8 engine, and it's something that I would consider to be a pro for any muscle car out there, you know, because they just have that raw, naturally aspirated sound to them. Of course, they can also be supercharged, which a lot of cars do also have. So yeah, guys, these guys are some really nice sounding cars, just because of the fact that it's 5.0 liter motor, and it's also like one of the old school, I would say like V8s, you know, from back in the day. So they do sound a little bit more raw, more rugged than the newer ones that have more computer, more electronics into them. But either way, you cannot go wrong with the V8 in terms of sound. They just sound so good, guys. So that's number one. I would say that's a pro for the Mustang, is just the sound. And then another thing that my friend Gio had also mentioned that he kind of disliked about the Mustang, well, I would say that this is like one of the number one cons that he told me about, is that sometimes this car does get a little bit bad gas mileage because of the same reason that it's also a V8, you know. So you have to take the bad with the good and consider that whenever you try to get to the muscle car platform, and just to take that into consideration, you know, that it does waste a little bit more gas than, let's say, a 4-cylinder motor engine, because of the whole displacement, you know. So you gotta like just keep that in mind, guys, that it's also something that could be a pro and it could be a con, depending on the type of person that you are, and depending on your preference when it comes to the engine displacement. Yeah, guys, you guys don't really see you know, these types of V8s on the road anymore. Muscle cars that are a little bit more classic, they tend to go for a little bit more value, just because they do hold value, you know. There's a lot of car enthusiasts out there that enjoy these types of cars. So I would say, like, you know, that you do get a lot of attention here and there, like at stoplights or at the gas station, which can be a good or a bad thing, depending on if you do like attention, or you're more of an introverted type of person that just enjoys these types of cars, you know. So it's definitely something that you have to keep in mind whenever you do want to buy a car like this, you know, that you are going to get attention. And it's good to make friends, it's good to like bond with the community. But honestly, if you're not the type of person to really be too talkative or want to like talk much about your car, what you drive, or anything like that, that could be a negative as well, you know. So pros and cons, there's always like a double side to the story, you know. And it's just something to keep in mind for sure. Moving on to the Subaru, guys, I would say that like the JDM platform compared to the muscle car platform, it's just another side of being a car enthusiast, you know. It just depends whether you like V8s or 4-cylinders, because a lot of JDM cars, they're usually around this type of displacement, you know, either 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder, like the RB26, the 2JZ for the Supra and Skyline, or the 4G63T engines that are for like the Mitsubishis and all that, which I do have some experience with, since I had the Eclipse on the channel a few months ago, I would say. So I am pretty familiar with the JDM platform as well, you know, not just on the Subaru, but also other JDM platforms like the Infinity, or also the Mitsubishi Eclipse. So I can speak a little bit about the topic, you know. So honestly, guys, I would say that a lot of the reason why people like JDM as a platform, to start like getting into like the whole car community and everything, is because of the whole tunability aspect of the whole JDM platform, you know. So for example, here with the Subaru, we do have a Cobb tuner, which honestly it gives me like more insight, and I'm able to tune the Subaru because of it, you know. So I just closed the door because I didn't want to hear like all the noise from the key ignition. So yeah guys, I was telling you guys about the tunability of JDM. Right here I have the little call back access port, and this little thing basically lets me monitor a lot of the things for the car because it is tuned on a stage 1 tune from Cobb themselves. And with this I'm able to just monitor the car, make sure it's running good, make sure it's running clean. And that's one of the things that I do enjoy about JDM, you know, that the tunability is pretty easy with it, with the parts readily available to it. Of course you can also tune muscle cars as well, but I just like how this one kind of like is very well known. The Subaru actually is very well known for being tunable, and it is part of the JDM family, you know. JDM and muscle cars both have parts available for them, you know. It's just that I think that in overall type of thing, if you wanted to have a more versatile daily driver, I think that going with the JDM would be a better choice than a muscle, just for the simple fact, guys, that it's a 4-liter engine car or 4-cylinder car. And usually JDM cars are known for having either 4 or 6, so it does save you a little bit more on gas compared to, like, let's say you know, an aggressive V8, which is honestly not a bad thing to have that kind of displacement, but it is something that you have to take into consideration when it comes to fuel costs and the maintenance also of the car, because you do have you know, 8 spark plugs, cables, and more oil that you're gonna have to invest whenever you do oil changes for these types of cars. And then alright guys, so we're gonna have to wrap up the video here at No Limit HQ again, because we basically got kicked out of the place where we were filming at. I didn't record the officer itself when he got there to kick us out, because I thought that would be a little bit disrespectful. But I did manage to get a little clip of us driving away when the cop was behind us, so I'll include that in the video. Yeah, but I was gonna wrap up my final point with the Subaru, well, with JDM, and one of the cons for it is also that what would you say, bro? Honestly, what would be like cons of JDM, honestly? Yeah, honestly, like I would say, like, just the biggest thing is like just opinion wise, you know, for JDM and muscle, it doesn't really matter which one you guys go with, as long as you enjoy what you drive. That's like the biggest thing I would say, in my opinion, you know. So either way, you guys cannot go wrong with it, you know, JDM or muscle car. So it just depends really what it is that you guys are looking for after. But I think that's where we're gonna end the video, guys. Honestly, it was just a little quick video, you know, talking about like the pros and the cons for both muscle and JDM. And I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing both cars on the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.